G'day Axie fam and welcome. Thanks for joining me on this video today. I'm going to be providing a bit of background information on Mavis's recently released Katana Ronin Dex, and this is something that everyone's been looking forward to for a long time. I'm going to be providing a beginner's guide on a bit of background information on DeFi, a bit about the Dex itself, the tokens in the ecosystem, and how you can get the most out of it so you can start staking and earning the new token RON. My name is the Hodling Scientist, and just a bit of a disclaimer, this is the first time I've made any Axie Infinity related content, or any content for that matter. So thanks for checking it out, and I hope you find it useful. Just a quick disclaimer, this is purely for educational purposes only, so I hope you learned something here today. So let's dive into it. So first things first, let's start at the beginning. So first of all, what exactly is the Katana Ronin Dex? So Katana is a decentralized exchange developed by the good people of Mavis that allows anyone with a Ronin wallet to swap between the various assets within the Axie Infinity ecosystem. So that means you can trade between your Smooth Love Potion or SLP, Ethereum, Axie Infinity Shards or AXS, and now as well, recently added, is the US-backed stablecoin known as USDC. As an added bonus, you can deposit your assets into liquidity pools where you'll start earning a percentage of fees, or you can stake those liquidity pool tokens onto the Katana Dex and be rewarded with a new token known as RON. But before we get into any of that, let's go back to basics. First of all, what is a decentralized exchange, or a DEX? Most people, when they enter the crypto world, they are generally introduced via big centralized exchanges such as Binance, where all of the tradable assets on that exchange are held by the central governing body. In that particular example, it is the Binance company itself. They also control all the assets and all the wallets, and as the saying goes, not your keys, not your coins. On the other hand, a decentralized exchange runs off a similar principle where users can swap between assets. However, all of the liquidity, that is all the tokens provided onto the exchange and is available for trade by its users, is provided by the users themselves. That means the liquidity is not held by any central governing body, like on Binance, but it belongs to the users themselves. So that means you have all the power. Alright, so let's talk about all the assets available on Katana. Each of these play integral roles within the Axie Infinity ecosystem, and each have different roles within it. Let's start with everyone's favourite, and that is Smooth Love Potion, or SLP. So playing the game Axie Infinity will earn you the token SLP, whether you're doing Adventure Mode, Arena, or even just doing the daily quest. SLP is the player's essential payment for playing the game. And every time someone plays the game, a new SLP is made. In other words, every SLP that is in existence right now is because someone was playing the game. For scholars, what SLP is essentially it's their payment, and most of the time scholars will take SLP and convert it to their native currency. For managers, it's predominantly used for breeding. On top of that, scholars can also use SLP to save up, and they can use it to eventually purchase their own Axies. Now there are more uses for SLP, but I'm going to go into that a bit later on. Next up is the Axie Infinity Shard, or AXS. It was released pretty much just over a year ago, and it is the governance token of the Axie Infinity ecosystem. It has a capped supply of about 270 million tokens, and in simple terms, owning AXS tokens will give you part ownership of the Axie Infinity ecosystem. In the future, that will mean governance and voting rights. Predominantly, up until recently, it was mostly used just for breeding Axies. It started off as being needing 4 AXS per breed. Now it's down to 1 AXS per breed, and now it is predominantly used for staking, which I will talk about a bit later on, and it does have some quite integral roles within the Katana Dex, which I'll talk about soon too. Next up is Ethereum, and really it doesn't need any introduction. It is the key token of the Ethereum blockchain, which is what Axie Infinity was built on. So the Ronin network itself is a sidechain of the Ethereum mainnet. What that means is that while everything on Ronin was built using the Ethereum technology, so ERC20 tokens for SLP and AXS, and ERC721 for the NFT assets, that is the Axies, the land, and the land items, it runs separate to the Ethereum mainnet itself. What that means is that you don't have to worry about those, really expensive gas fees paid when you're using something like MetaMask. Before Katana was released, Ethereum was predominantly used for purchasing and trading of Axies on the Axie marketplace. Finally, we have USDC. Now this is a stablecoin that is regulated and backed by the US dollar. That means 1 USDC equals 1 US dollar. Stablecoins are a fantastic tool in the crypto world, and it is a great way to store your profits when trading crypto. Let's say, for example, you bought some AXS tokens when it was $50. I wish I bought more when it was $50, but here we are. And you sold it for a profit you sold it at a price at $150, which means you made $100 profit. Now you can store that profit in USDC, and say the price drops down to $100 again, you can buy more AXS tokens for a lot cheaper, which increases your holdings of AXS. Pretty cool, right? So now finally, we have the newcomer to the space, the Ronin token, also known as RON. So what exactly is RON? RON is the native token of the Ronin blockchain, and in future it will power all transactions conducted between Ronin wallets. Currently all transactions are free, and we have with an allocation of a free 100 RON tokens per day per wallet. In the future, RON token will take that over. Think of it as the gas fees of the Ronin ecosystem, as opposed to paying gas in Ethereum or Gwei on the Ethereum network. So if you want to be part of the Axie Infinity and Sky Mavis ecosystems long term, now is the time to start earning the RON token. Okay, now let's go into the features of the Ronin Dex itself and how to use it. So Katana can be found at katana.roninchain.com, and as soon as you open it, you'll see that it is quite a simple and elegant user interface. This Dex has been designed for beginners and even experienced users in DeFi, that is decentralized finance, and I think it's fantastic what they've done here. So first of all, to be able to interact with the Ronin Dex, you have to have a Ronin wallet. If you don't have one, do check out ronin.wallet.roninchain.com, and you can download it here. They have also just released a mobile app version for Android and Apple. Word of warning, do make sure to get the official version of the Ronin wallet, otherwise you could lose your coins. Alright, so into it. The first tab that you see on the Katana Dex is the swap tab up here. This is the very simple window that will allow you to swap between all your different assets. So you can swap between ETH and any of these tokens here. At the moment you can see I've got a small amount of SLP. So you can swap between ETH and SLP, you can swap between ETH and AXS, you can swap between SLP and AXS, you can swap between USDC and ETH if you really want to. You can do any combination that you like. So what I'm going to be showing you here is how to take your SLP earnings. So if you're a scholar, you've just been paid out, you've taken your SLP earnings, and you want to find out how you can start earning the RON token. So it's very simple. What you need to do first of all is to generate what's called a liquidity pool token, or an LP. What that is, it's a 50-50 mix between SLP and ETH. So you need to have an equal amount priced in US dollars of SLP and ETH before you can start farming RON. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you how you can swap SLP to ETH, how to generate those liquidity pool tokens, and then how you can stake that onto Katana to start earning RON. So first of all, I've got 600 SLP here, and I want to stake 500 of that onto the DEX to start earning RON. So to do that, I need to swap out half of my SLP to ETH. So I selected SLP at the top here and ETH at the bottom here. Since I'm only doing half, I'm going to be doing 500 SLP. I want to swap 250 SLP for ETH. And what's great about it is that it automatically calculates how much ETH you'll be getting with the price of how much it costs roughly in US dollars. And before I can do anything, I need to allow the DEX to actually be able to use my SLP. So essentially signing a contract. So we get this little button over here that says allow Katana to use SLP. Let's press approve and you'll get a notification on your Ronin wallet to approve that. Simply press confirm. All of these interactions cost nothing, which is fantastic, and just wait for that to go through. Now, one good thing is that you can actually see down over here when you go into your activity tab how that contract interaction or how that interaction with the DEX is going. So if it says pending, it's still occurring. Alright, now you can see that over here on the swap tab that has been approved, that is ready to go. So now I can actually swap my SLP for ETH. So simply press swap. You'll get a window over here showing the exchange, so 250 SLP for this amount of ETH, and the pricing as well as any slippage. So what that means essentially is if you press, you want to do a swap, but in that time between pressing that and pressing submit, there's a price change in one of the tokens. The slippage tolerance accounts for that. So if that does happen, you can press update price and then press confirm swap. Once you've done that, you have to confirm it again in your Ronin wallet. And then all we have to do is wait for the Ronin Dex to do its thing. So the transaction's been submitted. You can close this tab now. And you also get a pop-up notification here on the side, which is fantastic. Now we can check that out. So we can see over here that the contract is pending. It's still being interacted with. If we want to see exactly how it's going, we can click on that. And we can press this button up here. So what this does is it opens up a new window where you can actually view the contract interaction, the transaction, on the Ronin Explorer itself. So that's done. Now, if we go back to our Ronin wallet, you will see we have swapped 250 SLP for a small amount of ETH. Next up, we want to go to our pool tab, and this is where we can add our liquidity. So this is essentially depositing the tokens that we've just swapped back into the Ronin chain ecosystem. Pulls it towards the Ronin chain DEX, and it essentially allows other users to trade between assets using the tokens that we have just provided. So we want to add liquidity. And there are two options of adding liquidity. We can either add ETH and SLP pairs or ETH and AXS pairs. So again, they have to be in pairs, 50-50 split between the two. So we are swapping out ETH with SLP. And what we want to do is we want to add the ETH that we have just swapped out. Sometimes the numbering is a bit, if you see red, it's a bit of an error, but it's okay. So you can just add a slightly smaller amount. And you can see that the ETH that I have put up here is roughly equated to the SLP that I have in my wallet. Over here, you can see the pricing of ETH to SLP and vice versa. On top of that, it'll show you that the liquidity you're putting in shows the percentage of how much of the liquidity pool, that is the number of tokens on the Ronin DEX itself, that you actually own. So once again, we have to press approve to allow Katana to use our ETH, confirm that in the wallet, and then wait for that to go through. Once that is approved, and again we'll see a notification on the side, we simply press supply. Again, this is just the information about the ETH and SLP pair and exactly how much of the pool tokens, the LP tokens, will be receiving. Simply press confirm supply. That was weird. Confirm it again in our wallet. Okay, now as you can see, that has gone through, and we have now generated down here at the bottom, you can see our SLP and ETH LP token. And you can see the allocation of SLP to ETH and exactly just how much of the entire liquidity pool you actually own. So the next step, now on top of that, first of all, before I continue, you can keep your liquidity left in the liquidity pool, and what you'll actually earn is a percentage of the transaction fees that are made on the Ronin exchange. So this is actually a good way to earn some of the fees. But if you want to earn RON, this is where we get to the fun part. Head over to the Farm tab, and you'll see you'll have the option to deposit your LP tokens, either the AXS and ETH or the SLP and ETH pairs, to start earning RON. So we have just generated some SLP and ETH LP tokens, so we're going to click this tab here, and we want to deposit all of the LP tokens that we have just made into Katana to start earning RON. So first of all, let's approve that transaction. Once again, confirm, and that is approved. As you can see over here, now we get to the fun part where we want to stake our LP tokens into Katana. So simply press stake, select the amount of tokens that you want. In our case, we're just going to hit max, and we're going to stake that. We're going to confirm that again in the Ronin wallet, and now the transaction is submitted, and that's good to go. We just have to wait. Now, up in the top right, that was quick. I was going to say, up in the top right, you can see there was like a, you can view your transaction history and how each of the transaction interactions that you make are going, and you can check out the status there as well. You can also see that in your Ronin wallet or on the Ronin Explorer itself. But that's it. Now we have staked our SLP and ETH liquidity pool tokens, and now we have started farming RON. After some time, you will start to see on this page here just how much RON token you are earning. Now you can also view the details of your wallet on the Katana Ronin Dex if you head over to Analytics, and this is a great tool because it shows you all of the tokens that have been deposited onto Ronin. You can see that there's, at the moment, it's about $1.34 billion in US of liquidity provided to Ronin, which is fantastic. You'll see the current prices of AXS, and you'll see the breakdown of just how much of each token is provided on the DEX itself. But what we want to see is we want to head over to accounts. We want to copy over our Ronin address, paste it here, and now we can see that the LP token that we've just provided, which is in total value about $35.70, you'll see that here it's roughly 250 SLP and a small amount of ETH, and this just shows us our position. On top of that, you'll see our transaction history here. We saw that we swapped SLP for ETH, and that we added some LP tokens. And that's it. Now you are on your way to start farming RON. Congratulations. Right, so that's how we can start to farm RON, but what about if we're interested in staking AXS to start earning back some additional AXS? Well, that's easy to do too. So if we head over back to the swap tab of Katana, and we want to swap our leftover SLP over to AXS. We've got about 100 SLP here. We're going to convert that all into AXS. So simply select SLP at the top, AXS at the bottom, press swap. Once again, we're going to confirm that in our Ronin wallet. You can also use that AXS to stake for RON. But say you want to stake AXS to get more AXS, we're going to head over to the AXS staking dashboard. Alright, let's say we want to stake our AXS now. So we head over to stake.axieinfinity.com, and this is the interface here when you enter it for the first time. On the left is our option to be able to stake our AXS. On the right are the current metrics of amount of AXS staked. So as you can see, we have almost $3 billion in AXS staked, with an annual return of about 117%, which does change over time, the more AXS that is staked. You can see the current prices of AXS, and the rewards that are being released in AXS for stakers every day. So, you want to start earning AXS? This is how you do it. We start off, once again, we've got to approve the contract in our wallet. Press confirm. Wait for that to go through. And that has. So now we can stake our AXS. Simply hit stake, select the amount of tokens you want to stake, hit the button again, confirm. Okay, now you can see the contract's gone through, and we'll refresh the page. And now you can see over here we have our AXS staked, and we'll be able to start claiming rewards every 24 hours on the amount of AXS that is staked. So that's it. It's as simple as that. It really is so easy to use. Okay, so that's it. Now you're farming Run on the Katana Dex, and if you wanted to as well, you're staking your AXS too. I hope you found that quite useful, but before I leave, I do have to give you with some warnings. DeFi and all DeFi related applications are not without risk, and there is a chance of you to lose some or all of your tokens. The first piece of advice I'd give you is always make sure you download the Ronin wallet from the official link and not from somewhere else. It could be a scam and you could lose all your tokens if you transfer it over. Second of all, and this is a DeFi specific thing, is something called impermanent loss. Now, when we staked our SLP and ETH, what we generated was a 50-50 split in value of ETH and SLP, it's forming a pair, in a liquidity pool token. Now let's say over time you wanted to withdraw your LP tokens and redeem the SLP and ETH. But in that time, SLP has still stayed the same price, but ETH has gone up in a huge amount of price. Say a couple of extra $1,000. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That difference in price has resulted in a reduction in a difference in balance between SLP and ETH. Let's say 60% at ETH, 40% SLP. And that 10% difference has caused a reduction in your SLP holdings. That is called impermanent loss. It happens to everyone, and it happens pretty much constantly. I mean, I'm taking some impermanent loss with my SLP and ETH staking right now, but sometimes you just have to weigh up the benefits, the pros and cons of that. Let's say when we think about the RON token, which you're farming right now, RON, I believe, is going to be something that's going to play a huge role in the future of Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity. And both Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity are building up to something fantastic. And I'm here to hold and play the game and participate in the ecosystem for the next 10, 20, 30 years, for however long that they're going to be around. This could mean, future games being implemented into the ecosystem. Of course, we've got land play coming in at some point soon. All of those interactions will use the Ronin chain, we'll use this Katana Dex, your Ronin wallet, and of course the RON token. So of course I'm going to be wanting to grab as much RON as possible so I can interact with the ecosystem for as long as I can. Now as Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity become more popular, more people will want to be coming on board, and of course RON will boost in popularity, and more people will need it to interact with the ecosystem. So for me, I'm more interested in obtaining as much RON as possible as opposed to losing some SLP. But everyone's different, so you have to weigh up those risks yourself. So one final piece of advice that I can offer you, if you're coming from the outside world and starting to enter into Axie Infinity, and you want to say transfer your ETH over to your Ronin wallet. Here's a bit of a trick that I figured out late one night, and I was probably late to the party anyway, since everyone probably already knew this. One thing you can do is you could transfer on Binance, you can swap your ETH for SLP or AXS, and then you can use the Ronin bridge and transfer that over to your Ronin wallet, bypassing MetaMask and all the gas fees altogether. The fees for transferring over using the Ronin bridge is about 1 SLP, so that's nothing really. So use that trick if you ever need to bypass MetaMask and bypass all those gas fees. So finally, that's it from me. I hope you found the video guide useful. Now, I'm still a small fry compared to some of the bigger groups and bigger girls, and there's definitely a lot of content creators that know a lot more than I do. So do check out their guides too. Now, if I got anything wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments down below. I'm not going to sit in the corner crying myself to sleep in a fetal position if I did get something horribly wrong. And if you do want to read up more about staking, about earning RON, about how to use Katana, then go check out the fantastic guides written by Putra. They're up on the Ronin Dex as well. They're under the Docs tab. And I've left links for everything down below. But for now, stay healthy, enjoy your axes, and thanks for watching. Cheers.